Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, where we talk about all news, comics, and media related to the Transformers. On this episode, Skybound gives comics completionists a headache with even more Energon Universe reprints. Guido Guidi treats us with some unused Transformers comic and video game art from his archives, and your ears are in for a treat with EarthSpark and Rise of the Beasts soundtracks now available. Today is Friday, November 17th, 2023, and this is episode 364 of Transmissions Alt Mode.
Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, the podcast that provided the original voices of the Sharkticons in G1 Season 3. I'm your host Charles, aka Big C, and I'm joined by the excellent Transmissions team. Jeremy, aka Yakko.
Hey, how's it going?
And the amazing and awesome producer and editor, Mike.
Rawr, rawr. Push down. Let's talk Transformers.
All right. As always, we start the show by thanking our Donatreons, those lovely people who support us on Patreon and PayPal. We really appreciate that. And if you are not a supporter, you can easily sign up by going to transmissionspodcast.com/support. You get lots of perks, you get some bonus content, you get automatic entry into all our contests. Lots of good stuff. So, got those bonus episodes of We Like Big Bots. Got season 1 already up there, so you can go to our Patreon page, get all 10 episodes of We Like Big Bots. And, send your complaints to Daryl at transmissionspodcast.com to get some more episodes of We Like Big Bots. And get him and Dr. Pants back into the lab to keep it going. We've also got our Transformers Live Play RPG podcast, Empire of Rust. And that has season 1 and season 2 available at transmissionspodcast.com/rust. And we've got our special side story, the Rustford Files, going on right now, as episode 4 was last week, and then episode 5 is coming this Monday. So that will continue. We will get back the bonus uncut versions of Empire of Rust when season 3 starts up. That'll be in a little while, but Mike's here. He's still chugging along, so that'll be coming very soon. Right, Mike?
Right here? Yeah. Right here. I just needed a break, It's a lot of work putting these episodes together. I just needed a little time to kind of decompress and not think about all the work I had to do for a little while, Give me a break, guys. Give me a break here.
Everyone's and we appreciate you got a break, but you also you had Matt step in to do a little side adventure. So everyone appreciates that. So, the content keeps coming.
I bleed blood, sweat, and tears. But yeah, it's a really great little side story, and check it out. It's Matt is a really, really good like ad-libbing GM. He's really good at kind of just going with what the players are doing, and it's just a really fun time. And he makes up some really crazy stuff as we go through it.
Yeah. Although, as with Matt as the game master running the campaign, I miss the gruff, gravelly voice of Magnum, during the show. But hopefully, he'll be back for season 3. So
he'll be back.
Don't have to wait too long. Yeah,
you can't get rid of Magnum. It's like stuck to your shoe, like gum, because he's a gumshoe.
Uh-huh.
Like I tell everyone, it gets funnier the more you explain the joke.
Well, that's the rule of dad jokes.
Mm-hmm.
If I can put a request in, Mike, season 3, I would love a Magnum Nightbeat team up, if that's in any way possible for a detective story. So just putting it out there.
We'll see what we can do.
All right. Of course, we've also got our our Skybound Transformers #1, our exclusive transmissions cover with art by EJ Sue. So if you have not picked yours up yet, you can get them at transmissionspodcast.com/comic. You can also get them in Monroeville, Pennsylvania at Phantom of the Attic Comics and in London, Ontario at Heroes Comics. So, check them out there. All right, speaking of comics, let's go right in with some comics news. All right, so start off, we've got a bunch of unused concept art from Guido Guidi on Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter. Guido Guidi, awesome Transformers comics artist Guido Guidi did pretty much all the art for the Transformers '84 comic from a few years ago that was written by Simon Furman. And he is putting out some unused cover concept sketches for that book, and these all look really cool. They're all very cool scenes featuring a couple featuring Megatron here. We've got one featuring a bunch of bad guys with like Scorponok, Shockwave, Thunderwing, and Straxus. That's a nice little cover. And we've also got the ones with Starscream and a nice close up of Straxus and a couple Straxus covers. So all very cool. So it's nice to see artwork from Guido Guidi. I hope he gets maybe they get Skybound to hit him up and do some more artwork. That'd be cool if we see some more Guido Guidi. All right. Well, speaking of Skybound, next up, they're giving you any more covers. So if you thought, hey, I never got a chance to pick up any of the previous issues of Void Rivals or Transformers #1 or #2. Maybe I should go pick up some. And there's a million additional printings of these covers coming out. So you can see Void Rivals #5, the one with that featured the Quintessons. They've got 5 Faces of Darkness covers with each of a different Quintesson character. We've got even more Void Rivals additional printings for all the previous issues that have been published. We got another cover for Transformers #1. And this is featuring Ratchet getting into action, fighting off Starscream. So yeah, it's getting kind of ridiculous at this point. There's a lot of covers,
if
but
the market demands it. I don't know,
I guess
I worry.
Yeah, this is getting dangerously close to saturation here.
I mean, the Quintesson cover seems to be like jumping the shark to con.
Didn't see that coming. I did not see that coming. Good job.
Well, that's
Jeremy.
Your fault.
So yeah, but yeah. So if you are looking for additional, or are you just looking to get into Void Rivals, you missed out on Void Rivals. I am enjoying the story of Void Rivals. So if you didn't have any interest in it and wanted to pick it up, I guess you can get all these variant covers if the previous ones are sold out. So, of course, for Transformers #1, you should really be picking up the Transmissions exclusive Transformers #1 cover at transmissionspodcast.com/comic if you really need a variant cover. But I guess these are good too. Also, looks like we've got issue 6 of Void Rivals and some variant covers for that. This will be the final issue in the first story arc of Void Rivals, and then it's going on hiatus for a couple months. I think that issue 7 is not coming until March of next year. But yeah, so you can pick up all those previous printings of 1 through 5 and then jump right in with issue 6. I wonder if the Transformers, like the Quintesson tie-in that they've been teasing all throughout, is going to have any consequences in this last issue to tie up this story arc. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we're saying that the hiatus is to kind of let the timeline catch up with the other books.
Oh, okay, interesting. Of course, we've the Transformers comic is continuing with issue 3. That's coming December 13th, and Skybound has released a 3-page preview. There's no lettering on the preview, so you can't really tell. I mean, you can tell what's going on, but you can't really tell exactly what the dialogue is. But several covers for issue 3, and then this little preview. We're not going to really talk about it, but I mean, based on the end of issue 2, you probably can get a sense of what's happening and how that issue is gonna start off. So, but yeah, and it looks like some more cool covers for issue 3. So, looking forward to that. And speaking of Skybound and Transformers, since Mike was not with us for the reviews of issues 1 and 2, thought it would be a good time to get your opinions. So, Mike, let it rip. I mean, I think we can dispense with a spoiler warning. That we're gonna getting into full spoilers. We've done full spoiler reviews for Transformers 1 and 2. Both comics have been out for a couple weeks, so if you don't want spoilers, stop the podcast and skip ahead to media news. But if you're okay with it, let's hear your thoughts, Mike.
Yeah. Spoilers abound. I getcha. All right, so I think I have some like complicated like feelings about these 2 issues, and it's certainly, my opinion has certainly changed since I read the second issue the other day when it came out, and so I'll kind of give my thoughts as to how I viewed it when I read issue 1, and then my kind of modifications on that from issue 2. So my initial thoughts were like I did not enjoy issue 1 like just as it was, and I think it was because there was just so much like retreading of the G1 intro, the G1 kind of the kind of tried and true like storyline that's been happening in nearly every bit of Transformers media. And when I first like read that, all right, we're just rehashing kind of the same thing, I was kind of turned off. Now I will say that Daniel Warren Johnson, Daniel Warren Johnson is doing something interesting with the way it is portrayed. I do love the characterization. I love seeing Prime's reactions to everything. He really does, and just in the one issue, he really does feel like a very complete and very complex character, and I really, really love that. The small differences between like how Spike and Carly kind of met up with Prime and the rest, it wasn't really grabbing me for what it was. And yeah, like I kind of left like that issue with like, all right, I'll give it another couple of issues, but it did not grab me the way I was hoping it would. And on top of that, the artwork was just not really my cup of tea. It did not really like my thing. It's not bad. Don't get me wrong. It's just when compared that to some of the stuff we got in like IDW, in like More Than Meets the Eye and everything, it feels very, very different. And I don't know if it feels better or worse. It's very, very different. So that was my thoughts at the end of the first issue. After reading the second issue, I will say that the Prime's characterization is still really, really nice. I'm liking the way it's turning a bit, so I'm glad I stuck with it for the second issue, obviously. And if it continues in this story vein, then I think I'm going to enjoy it quite a bit, because it's becoming, it just needs 2 issues. It is different enough where I can ignore that kind of first part. But I am a little scared that we are going to like retread a lot of like G1 cartoon vibes from it. and that's just something that I'm done with. Like, I'm tired of it. Like, I don't need that in my life anymore. The 80s cartoon was its thing, and it was its thing back in the day, but it was also very much an 80s property. It was all about I mean, aside from like the good versus evil kind of thing, it was just, it echoed the energy crisis of the 80s, and it's like, okay, we're beyond that now. We don't need to worry about that. Let's do something different. And that's one of the reasons why I really loved the way IDW portrayed its phase 2 and phase 3s. Less so in phase 1, but there was still some interesting parts to it. And even the second volume for IDW, the more political kind of thriller during, or not the political thriller, but the dawn of the war era kind of stuff. Even that, because it told a story that was new and interesting, it's like, okay, cool. We got plenty of stories to tell, so let's spread it out as much as possible. But again, like when I first saw that, and it kind of retreaded a lot of G1 cartoon kind of vibes. Yeah, it did not grab me. It hasn't quite grabbed me yet, but second issue certainly did a lot more work to do that. And I'm glad you have me on now, where I can talk about that a bit more positively than how I would have at the end of issue 1. So,
okay, interesting. I'm curious, what about issue 2 kind of at least turned? It sounds like it. I mean, it's not all the way there, but it turned a corner for you that didn't have an issue 1.
got away from the arc. Got away from putting bots together. It kind of is feeling like they just don't have the resources to rebuild like anyone, or if they do, it's going to be such a slow process that it's like we can go half a year before seeing a new character. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly fine with a smaller cast of characters. The big ensemble cast of G1 really, I think, did a disservice for a lot of the character development for individual characters. Something that they learned their lesson for, and in Beast Wars, they had smaller arcs and were able to really show characterization, or at least at least have the ability to show characterization. Whether they did or not is 100% up to each person to see. But it's like each episode of each character in G1 got like the one focus episode, and then that was it. Like, that was the only characterization they got. And if you weren't happy with that, well, too bad. You didn't see anything else. So I'm glad they're doing that. I'm glad they're not going with the big ensemble cast, and I'm glad they're giving just a couple of characters kind of time to shine. And I hope they give the same treatment to Ratchet and like anyone else who's going to be coming in. I already forget who was on the teaser for it. It was Ratchet Prime,
RC,
and
then Cliffjumper, obviously.
Cliffjumper and Wheeljack. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, if they spend the time to give the same amount of characterization that they did with Prime, this is going to be a beautiful series. Because just Prime's reaction on when he stepped on the deer, that was a great reaction. It was like, oh, yeah. I just had this epiphany, this realization that everything here is fragile. My feet sink into the ground. It's like, never really thought about it like that before. That was a really cool idea, really cool element. So
yeah. And it's nice that you immediately get Prime's sense of life when he accidentally steps on the deer.
Yeah, absolutely. So as long as they keep on doing stuff like that, then great. And stay away from the echoes of, or not the echoes, but a repeat of G1, where it's like, all right, here's an army of Autobots and Decepticons. They're fighting over energy again. It's like, we've had this story. We've done it to death. Let's find something else. It was an echo of a time where that was an important story and very much in the zeitgeist. And it's not. anymore.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Oh, it's good to get your take. I'm glad to hear your perspective, and it's interesting because we all had kind of positive reactions. So it's interesting to hear your feedback. So cool. Thanks for sharing. And anyone out there listening, feel free to send in your notes and comments and death threats to Mike because he hated the comic. So yeah, go ahead. Just kidding. Just kidding. Don't really
Why?
send in any death threats.
Now we
please.
really know why Daryl isn't here. He's like, this book was made for me and you can't hate it.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's all for comics news and discussion. So let's move on to some media news.
In media news this week, we have a couple of packaging concept sketches by Guido Guidi. We actually have some unused concept sketches for the Transformers Devastation game that was released. When was that released? 2016? 2015? Later?
Yeah, I think so. 2016, I think was right.
It's been a while.
Not sure, but yeah, it has.
But yeah, he's apparently hung on to this concept art and shared it up on his X Twitter account. I'm just going to call it X Twitter. Get it both right in there. And so if you're interested in seeing some of the concept art he came up with for it, go ahead and take a look at his X Twitter page. Next up, we have on YouTube from Simon Lech. He is the curator of the Sunbow Marvel archive. The Revenge of Bruticus, the full dialogue audio recording. This is the recording that they did for the show with all the voice actors and with the voice director
Wally Burr.
Wally Burr. Thank you, with Wally Burr as leading it off. It's about an hour long, and it is if you're into voice acting, if you're into kind of seeing how this stuff comes together, then nice video to kind of see how the whole process came together. So I hope more of these come out. So it's nice. Next, we got and this kind of confused me a little bit. I wasn't quite certain what this was. Lost Media, part 1 of 5 Faces of Darkness, the Ted Schwartz version. And I had to do a little bit of research on this. And it looks like the difference is that Ted Schwartz is voicing Rodimus, and he has a much younger look. Was it Dan Gautier? I think was Dick Gautier. Dan, where'd that come from? Dick Gautier was the voice in the final published version, but this looks like it's a version of it with Ted Schwartz as a younger Rodimus Prime. It's an interesting sound. It throws you a little bit because it doesn't sound like what you expect Rodimus to sound like, but yeah. It's an interesting kind of lost version of this episode. So if you're interested in any kind of animation history like that and just seeing how things were changed, go ahead and take a watch. It is the full 22-minute episode with Ted Schwartz as the voice of Rodimus.
And next up, we have the full track list and release announcement about the Transformers EarthSpark soundtrack. It is available everywhere that you would normally get music. Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Music particularly all have it. And it looks like it's a 14-track soundtrack. And, I'm happy that even now the animated series are getting these official releases, because EarthSpark definitely deserves the love. We also have a list of a lot of the special bonuses for the DVD and Blu-ray versions of Transformers Beast Awakening, which is Rise of the Beast in Japan. It has a whole bunch of stuff. You think we get a lot over here. They're getting just as much in Japan. they have versions with different outer sleeves like Cheetor, Optimus Primal. They have a steelbook. They have acrylic keychains and acrylic plates, Maximal sticker sheets, Maximal and Maximal and Autobot sticker sheets, postcards. A lot of these are just like in the U.S. It's depending on where you buy it. That retailer gets their own special releases. So we have some of the images here of some of the different things. I think it's cool. I wish we would get some of these like acrylic keychains. I think that's just kitschy but it's something that I think would be fun. But the steel book is usually what I go for in these regardless. But it's cool getting all these different things. Next we have in sticking with Rise of the Beast, the soundtrack has been out for a while, but now they have an extended soundtrack on vinyl that is available, and it is on double 180 gram audiophile quality vinyl. It has a 4-page booklet that has liner notes by composer Yannick Von Temps and director Stephen Capel Jr. It has 5 exclusive bonus tracks, and it's limited to 500 individually numbered copies on green vinyl. The new tracks are Calling All Autobots, Air Razor, The Silos, Finding the Hatch, and Meet the Maximals. It'll be released December 15th for about $57. And I'm not seeing here where it's going to be sold. So check with your particular retailer. If you go to like a store that specializes in records, maybe they can pre-order it for you. I'm not sure, but this is cool. I'm a sucker for things like this, so I'm going to be trying to get it. But I think anytime we get more releases like this, it's great just to get it out there. So I think that wraps up media news.
All right, we'll jump into a special gaming segment.
And that is me again. All right, so this is not a brand new piece of news, but I wanted to kind of update everyone on the Transformers deck building game and the role playing game, both from Renegade Games. In the last few months, actually, in the last 2 weeks, the Clash of the Combiners deck building game expansion has started shipping. So this is an expansion to the base game or any of the standalone base games, either the core game, the Decepticon version of Rising Darkness, or the War for Cybertron version. And this is all, it requires at least one of those to play, but you can add these cards in and you can play as combiners with some extra rules and some kind of fun stuff going on in there. So, it's just that started shipping the beginning of this month, and I think a lot of people should be already getting it in their hands. The other piece is the role-playing game, and that is the Decepticon Directive. It's a Decepticon source book, allows you to play as Decepticon characters, and the role-playing game. This was, I believe, released last month, if I recall correctly. And just as you expect, it lets you roll up some Decepticon characters and play those in your campaigns. I've been getting pretty much all of the deck building games and the source books for the role-playing games, and it's been really, really fun stuff. And hopefully we get to maybe play it online and do a recording session, have everyone take a look and see how this game works out. So, fun times.
Fun.
Yeah. I know we did the recording of the it was you two and Dr. Pence. We did the recording for the deck building game. Was it last year, I think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. in Tabletop Simulator. Yeah.
Yep. Maybe we'll have to do that again at some point soon. Maybe near like right after Christmas or something, because that'll be kind of fun.
Yeah,
They released a lot of stuff.
Cool.
All right, and that's it for gaming news.
All right, well, that takes us to the end of the show. So we'll wrap it up here. Of course, at the end of every episode, we give a shout out to our Masterpiece Donatrons. Those are the folks who continue to support the podcast at our highest level on Patreon. So thank you once again to John Forex Lemongood and Demon Tech 82. You guys rule. You're awesome. Thank you so much. And that's it. Yeah, thanks, Mike, for joining us again this week, coming back and hanging out with us. Mike, in addition to Empire of Rust and the Rustford Files, is there anything else you want to show off or promote while you're here?
I think just if you want to give me a follow on Instagram, it's at Minervian, Minervion. I got some toy photos up there, and hopefully we'll be getting back into it pretty soon.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching and listening to this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Later.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Transmissions. If you'd like to join the conversation, travel to our Discord channel at transmissionspodcast.com/Discord. Want some cool transmission swag? Feast your eyes on our transmissions gear at transmissionspodcast.com/shop. If you'd like to support our podcast, go to transmissionspodcast.com/support or tell your friends about our show. We'll see you next time.